Hi Theo, thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
So we've had to redo this because my kids just wouldn't stop. They were playing at disturbing me in my work last time. So thanks for taking the time to redo this. So um, we'll just take it from the top again. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your involvement with the creative arts?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Theo. I'm 17. I'm a poet and I'm an artist. Yeah, that's that's pretty much what I've got.
Brilliant. So when did it all begin? Did you come from quite a creative background?
Oh yeah, my since I've been literally since I was born, my dad's been painting. And so I've sort of seen, obviously, as well as with technology progressing, I've sort of seen the way his art has progressed. And I think I got to maybe the age of 11, and I said, "Dad, will you show me how to paint?" And he said, "Yeah." So I started when I was pretty young. And then poetry started because of you. Because you came to visit my youth centre and taught us a couple of lessons.
Well, that's that's amazing. It's like it's been fantastic for me to see the way that you develop because obviously you're already doing a lot of writing, a lot of thinking beforehand, and it's just that thing of giving a few little simple techniques that I learned from Teesside University from the courses that I did there, and um, just of how to go about building some form into it and the ideas that gives, playing with senses and opposites and those things you just took to instantly, and it was incredible. Yeah, it was great to witness. So tell us a little bit about that journey that you've been on with your poetry. Could you tell people a little bit about what the project was that we worked on and what it resulted in, and what you've done since then?
Yeah. So yeah, he sort of came into my local youth group. It's called Heart Gables. They sort of work with LGBT youth. Um, and the project was to sort of talk about hate and inequality and hate crimes and that sort of thing. And it was a couple of lessons over some weeks, sort of resulting in a performance at one of my local colleges, at a Holocaust memorial event. And since then, I've kind of been hooked on it, and I've written more, and I've sneak peek of the cover, but I've done a lovely little book that's coming out soon. Very exciting.
Absolutely brilliant. And you've done all that yourself, haven't you? You've put it all
Yeah.
yourself, just off your own steam. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I'm not surprised that you were hooked, because that was one amazing way to start performing poetry. It was a very big hall, wasn't it? I mean, there's got to be a few hundred people there. It was a really important event. And you and India, Hunter and Liv Brack, you blew people away, didn't you? I mean, people were literally in tears at the end of it. You had a whole gang of people wanting to speak to you for one reason or
Yeah.
another. There was a lady there who'd been a lecturer at Sunderland University who just thought your work was fantastic. There were people that had relatives or experiences directly with the Holocaust themselves that were really moved by it. It was incredible. Uh, yeah, really, and the feedback was tremendous. So yeah, not surprised you were hooked with that, and I imagine other people feel the same way about your work. What kind of themes do you cover in your book, and also where do we get it?
Um, well, it's from a website called My Bestseller. I will have to give you the link because I can't remember the link off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, I sort of talk a lot about hate crime and sort of what it's like not only to grow up in the north, but to grow up being LGBT, being trans, and sort of how those identities sort of interlink. So I talk a lot about sort of how where I've grown up has influenced who I am as a person, really.
Yeah, and one thing that really came across working with that group was uh, the way that when it comes to your own experience, you kind of you might lack a bit of confidence, but when it comes to standing up for those around you, that feeling of solidarity that you give it's a really, really positive part of your writing. Yeah. not going to comment on that, but I thought, you know, it was really apparent, and I think that's part of your voice. It's not writing from a place of I mean, you get angry now and then, which is great, you know, that's what the youth is for, you know, we need a bit of shouting at, but actually you're very reconciliatory and embracing, and you want everybody to be able to just go about their lives. And you know, it doesn't seem too much to ask, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So as far as your art and your poetry and your writing goes, has that all just been self-taught? I mean, other than, you know, having a very short, brief workshop with me, have you done anything else? Have you done any research? Would you be interested in having some more either formal education in that regard, or like you know, short courses and stuff?
I mean, yeah, I'd love to. A lot of the sort of non-written art forms I do, I quite like doing felting and batiking. I was quite lucky doing GCSE art. We had a couple of people come in and sort of teach us how to do those things, which was I really enjoyed those sessions. I think I would quite enjoy doing some more sort of formal training in that sort of aspect.
Yeah, and interesting. It's like, so that kind of idea of, you know, just sitting down and focusing on doing something kind of crafty is in itself, it's something, you know, that takes you out. So what is it, you know, what is it about art? What's art about, and what does it do, and why do we do it, and what part does it play in society?
I mean, for me personally, you know, when they show you them little, when you're a kid, the sort of emotion charts and how to recognize different emotions, just never stuck with me. I'm so bad at reading people's emotions and even like understanding my own. I think a lot of times art for me is about sort of sitting down with my emotions and sort of saying, right, how do I feel about this thing? How do I feel about that thing? And it's just a good way to sort of channel that. And I was thinking wider society, like obviously this is coming off the backdrop of you know, the government deciding to not prioritize arts, especially in reopening things. I think it's a phenomenal mistake on their part, because I don't think any of us would have gotten through these lockdowns without art, because I don't know anyone who's not, you know, watched Netflix series or even did like virtual tours of museums. Like none of those things could exist without art. It's a very sort of important thing in our society, and I think it's something that goes overlooked quite a lot.
Yes, and I mean, I've trotted out these facts so many times over these interviews, you know, that it gets overlooked how much it brings to the economy. It's, you know, it's a phenomenal amount of money. It's more than agriculture. It's more than aviation, the automobile industry and automation combined. It's, you know, it's a huge employer, over 2 million people. And it's interesting to see how, you know, over all these series of rolling lockdowns, how people have fared, and what the arts is you know, the resilience really that it's shown in sustaining itself, where support hasn't been. So I think we are all managing somehow look into the future. And so what are you thinking of doing with all this? Where do you think of taking it? Is it something that you'd like to do professionally? Is it something, have you got some other idea of, you know, how are you going to do that money work balance, like art, like where, how?
I mean, I've kind of had it in the idea as an idea in the back of my head as maybe art as a career, but I think for me, I'm very much interested in the environment and sort of how we can limit like how badly we're treating it. And so for me, my main aim is to, you know, go to university, doing some sort of geography, environmental stuff, and, you know, hopefully going on and doing a job that just helps us treat the environment with a little bit more respect. And I do think that does lend quite well with my art, because a lot of it is about, you know, how we can treat the environment that we are in better and how we are treating it so badly right now.
Yes, yeah, and we better grow up quite quickly about that. And yeah, it seems that the younger members of our society are much better able to lead us towards that than we've been able to ourselves. So it's great that we have powerful young voices like yourself, Theo, to show us towards that light. It's been lovely speaking to you. So we're kind of I think, is it a week away from the official launch of your?
I think so, yeah.
Perfect. So I really look forward to that. And it will be the first Red Room that we've done for some time. So yeah, I'll well, not that it's ever polished. All right, lovely speaking to you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, lovely speaking to you. Bye bye.